presented in digital widescreen.
Tonight on News 25, the results are in. On this primary election day, there's a shakeup in District 150. Counties split over a sales tax to support schools, and the race is still neck and neck for the Republicans running for governor.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Tom McIntyre.
And I'm Ashley McNamee. The one primary election we could confidently predict this year was the gubernatorial race on the Democratic side.
That's because Pat Quinn's rival, Teal Hardeman, is almost unknown outside the city of Chicago. He ended up an anti-gang ceasefire program there. So Quinn and Paul Vallas, 72% of the vote. Not surprisingly, they are the winners. We may or may not hear from Governor Quinn in a few minutes. He has not made a statement yet.
And Quinn's GOP opponent for the November general election looks to be Bruce Rauner. Rauner took a lead from the very beginning, but Kirk Dillard has now been climbing as the downstate numbers are coming in. Dan Rutherford, 15 minutes after the polls closed, conceded the race. Bill Brady issued his concession speech about 9:30 this evening. We'll hear from Senator Brady coming up later in this program.
Also, voters in about a dozen Illinois counties had their say on the proposed 1% sales tax to be used for school facilities. That includes voters in Peoria, McLean, and Fulton counties.
Illinois introduced this new sales tax as a new option for voters back in 2007. It's a shift away from property tax funding, but since then, the option's been approved 18 times in Illinois counties and rejected more than twice that number. We go now to Eric Green at the big board with a look at tonight's numbers.
Right now, we're going to look at the two big local county sales tax increase referenda that were on the ballot. And the first one we're going to go to is Peoria County right here. And they were asking for 1%, and this was for school renovations and it would bring in $17 million a year. And as you can see, with 100% of all precincts voting in Peoria County, the no votes have it almost double what the yes has, 13,235 to 6712. And as we now go to McLean County, it is a similar story. They wanted 1% as well, and they did not get it. This would have been for school maintenance. It would have brought in about $9.4 million for Unit 5 and about $4 million for District 87. Again, a 2-to-1 margin, 17,000 plus no, yes 8,200, almost 83, and that was his 100% of the votes counted. Let's go back to Mac and Ashley.
All right, thanks, Eric. Here's the way the sales tax issue is being played out in Fulton County. Voters saying yes, 54 to 46%. That's with 100% of the precincts reporting in.
And over in Mason County, the voters have also approved that tax with 100% of the precincts reporting. 56% of voters approve it.
In the Peoria School District 3 race, incumbent Laura Patel being trounced today by Sue Wolstenholme, although Wolstenholme says she will not serve, her candidacy being backed by the Change 150 group, which would put forward a list of favored candidates from which the school board could choose. Whether they will or not, that's a different question.
The sheriffs in McLean and Woodford County are now retiring at the end of their term this year.
Eric Green has the results from the McLean County over at the big board. Eric?
That's right. This is interesting. Mike Emery was decided last year not to go for a third term. So here we are in McLean County, and right now we have 100% of all votes. And the winner is John Sandage. John Sandage has been with the department for 22 years. He's also at one time a state police narcotics agent, and he bested Jeff Elston, who has been the lieutenant in charge of criminal investigations for the McLean County Sheriff, 11,354 to 8,900. So a relatively convincing win. John Sandage, since there's no Democratic primary, will be the new sheriff in McLean County. Mac Ashley.
Okay, thanks, Eric. The primary race for Woodford County Sheriff has 3 GOP candidates, and again, no Democratic challenger.
Running through those candidates, Matt Smith, an operations captain and 25-year veteran in the Woodford Department, leads Craig Banner. There you see 78% of the precincts reporting. Matt Smith is eking out a win there, 53% of the vote. Again, there you also see Terry Glob on that. He was a veteran retired from the police department. He currently works for the U.S. Marshal Service here locally.
And there's going to be a new Livingston County Sheriff. Here's the candidates. Tony Childress has won 47% of the vote, well over Jack Weiser, and former Sheriff Marvin Rutledge. Dwight Police Officer Mark Scott only picking up 8% of the vote in Livingston County. No Democrats running there either.
So now the big question is who will be challenging U.S. Senator Dick Durbin in the general election.
A familiar face and a newcomer challenging each other, and we mean challenging each other tonight. Doug Truax has now conceded this race, but it was close for much of the night. Jim Oberweis started out with a slight lead, lost to Truex. Truex caught up for a little while. Oberweis got the downstate votes. Oberweis, a state senator, will now face Dick Durbin. So that's how that is working out tonight.
And taking a look at the Illinois treasurer on the Republican side of this ticket, Tom Cross with 87% of the precincts reporting, 58% of the vote. Of course, Mr. Cross is the House Republican minority leader. Bob Grogan will be conceding. He was a CPA. Now Mr. Cross will be facing off with Michael Frerichs, the state senator from the 52nd district in the general election. In the 18th congressional district, Republican Aaron Scott will face either Darrell Miller or Rob Millen, Quincy school teacher. Here's the way it looks right now with 92% of the precincts reporting in. Miller, the McLean County farmer, has the lead. All right, now we're going to turn it back over to Eric at the big board with a look at the 13th district race.
13th district, which runs south and to the west a little bit, but it also does touch on McLean County. And right now, McLean County has 100% of the votes counted in the Republican primary. The leader is the incumbent, Rodney Davis, with 23,000. He's leading the veterinarian, Michael Fershing, and Erica Harold of Urbana. She is an attorney, was also Miss America of 2003. So she was vying to become the first Miss America to sit on the U.S. Congress. And we have the 13th district congressional race. It looks like Rodney Davis is going to be up against Ann Callis. Ann Callis was the chief judge in the 3rd Illinois Judicial District, resigned last year to run for this office. Now let's go back to the desk. All right, in the 16th congressional district lies north of Peoria, a primary challenge to incumbent Adam Kinzinger. Congressman Kinzinger is the incumbent. He finished first in his term. He has now won his primary challenge. He was opposed by David Hale Jr., founder of the Rockford Tea Party. He argued that Kinzinger was too liberal. 79% of the vote, though, is going to Kinzinger. He will now face off with Democrat Randall Olson in the November election. Princeville School District 326 asking voters for $8.25 million in building bonds. Voters said yes, 67%. And El Paso Gridley School District 11 asked voters for $18.25 million for school building bonds. The nays have outweighed the yays all night there. Public safety tax in Knox County? No, 71%. All right, moving on to our next race there. Henry County voters are rejecting a 0.5% sales tax increase for public safety tonight. And voters in the city of Bloomington deciding if council members ought to be elected at large as well as from districts. That's being rejected by a fairly large margin, 59%. And a big talker, the voters in Glassford were asked if they wanted to allow the sale of liquor on Wednesdays there by a 7-3 vote. That has been approved. On the Republican side of the gubernatorial race, there we go. A disappointment tonight for Bloomington politician Senator Bill Brady. Brady conceded the Republican governor's race just a short time ago. News 25's Denise Jackson is standing by with him live right now. Denise?
State Senator Bill Brady joins us now. Senator Brady, you obviously worked very hard this time. What happened, sir?
Well, we had a great campaign. We stuck to our principles and our message. I'm proud of my responsibilities and what I've done as a senator, and I'm proud of this campaign. We just didn't have the same financial resources that the other candidates had to get their message out beyond the grassroots. Maybe the turnout helped us. Hurt us. I'm not sure what. But I have to give Bruce Rauner my compliments. He ran a well-financed campaign, and Kirk Dillard, for whatever reason, was able to get a lot of money from the unions to back his candidacy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Well, as you heard it there, State Senator Bill Brady saying that he has conceded the race and he plans to support whoever the nominee is. I'm Denise Jackson reporting live in Bloomington. Now back to you. All right, Denise, thank you. Dan Rutherford, the first to concede in the Republican governor's race tonight. In fact, he threw in the towel almost as soon as the polls closed. Sexual harassment allegations by a former top deputy made that race an uphill battle for Rutherford recently.
I've never had any allegations like have been lobbed against me here in the last few weeks. These last 6 weeks have truthfully been the most challenging in my entire life. More to come tonight for Leroy in your hometown. Still ahead, Chuck will have the details of our weather forecast.
And we'll have a lot more results coming up. Stay with us.
And welcome back, everybody. I think Mother Nature got a few more snow showers, back to the 40s on Monday. The spring arrives 11:57 a.m. on Thursday. But boy, I tell you, the weekend may not feel like it.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Well, breaking news, as this whole night has been breaking news. Kirk Dillard is conceding the race for governor for the state, for the Republican Party. He is conceding up in Chicago at this hour. Makes Bruce Rauner the winner, so now we know who Pat Quinn is going up against. More on that coming up. Still ahead, Change also coming to District 150. We'll check in with the Change 150 group.
And we go live in Bloomington to check in with the new McLean County Sheriff. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Well, Change is coming to District 150, and exactly what Change 150 wanted.
Sue Wolstenholme has defeated the incumbent Laura Patel, despite the fact that Wolstenholme doesn't even want to run for it. She's dropped out of the race, but News 25's Catherine Tellez caught up with C. Stipe for the group's reaction.
I'm here at the landmark where Change 150 is celebrating the win of Sue Wolstenholme over Laura Patel for a spot on the District 150 school board. I'm here with C. Stipe. Steve, how are you guys feeling now that you've won this?
Well, we're obviously encouraged. First of all, we'd like to thank Laura Patel for her service the last 5 years on the school board. Obviously, this is an example of what happens in the democratic process when people come together and vote, and the community has spoken and is desirous of a change.
And what's the next step for you guys now?
Well, the next step is we are going to appoint a committee with various members from the coalition that we put together to vet a series of candidates that we'd like to submit to the school board for the appointment of the one-year term before the next election.
All right, thanks. Again, here at the landmark where Sue Wolstenholme has won a spot on the District 150 school board. Reporting in Peoria, I'm Catherine Tellez.
Well, John Sandridge is going to be the next sheriff in McLean County.
And as you can see there, Sandridge beat out Jeff Elston with 56% of the vote. News 25's Bo Ebenezer is standing by live with reaction. Bo?
We are at Bill Brady's campaign headquarters in Bloomington. McLean County candidate for sheriff, John Sandridge, just received the news that he has beaten Jeff Elston by more than 2,000 votes. Sandridge says first on his list that sheriff will be to combat the drug problem, along with expanding the jail to house inmates with mental illnesses.
I don't know that it's actually sunk in yet. I do feel like a little weight is off my shoulders, but it might not sink in until I wake up tomorrow morning.
Sandridge will replace retiring Sheriff Mike Emery. Reporting live in Bloomington, I'm Bo Ebenezer. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Bo. As we reported, we now know who's going up against Governor Quinn in November.
Kirk Dillard has conceded to Bruce Rauner at this hour. Eric Green is at the big board to break down the votes. Eric?
All right, this ended up the way everybody pretty much thought it would, especially with the polls in recent weeks, the Chicago Tribune polls. But it was a lot closer than the polls showed. First, we had Bill Brady conceded a short time ago. Dan Rutherford conceded as soon as the polls closed. Kirk Dillard conceded just a short while ago. He ran second, 16,000 votes at this point behind the winner, Bruce Rauner. His running mate, Evelyn Sanguinetti, she is a former assistant attorney general under Jim Ryan. She is from the Wheaton area. So we're going to have a suburban Chicago person with the Chicago businessman, and they're going to be up against Pat Quinn in November. We're going to hear a lot from everybody. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Sports Final up next with Lee Hall and Jim Madsen. All right, election results. Democratic Governor Pat Quinn easily defeats Tio Hardeman. On the Republican side,
Bruce Rauner is now giving his acceptance speech as the primary winner for the Republican Party. We are actually going to take a listen to him right now.
We get out with the voters and we loved it and our message resonated. And we are honored and excited to go to work for you. And you know what? This is about shaking up Springfield, ripping the corruption out by its roots by getting term limits on everybody in Springfield.
So Bruce Rauner has won as the polls had predicted. It was probably a lot closer than he wanted. He just narrowly beat Kirk Dillard. It's the way certainly Governor Quinn planned on doing it, because Governor Quinn is launching already tonight a series of attack ads against Bruce Rauner. Now, saying exactly what would have happened if Kirk Dillard had won. Anyway, so it's going to be a Rauner-Quinn fisticuff heading on to November.
All right, guys. Well, here's the forecast overnight. Isolated showers and maybe a rumbler out there or so. That's the weather, by the way. And then maybe a rain-snow mix mid-morning as temperatures fall behind the system. Otherwise, a blustery mid-40s tomorrow. Temperatures remain up and down over the next several days. We could spike to near 60 or so Friday, but we could be in the 30s by Sunday. That's how wacky the weather will be.
Wacky indeed. Remember to get the news, weather, sports, and election results. CINewsNow.com.
Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.